For 2 years, I told my entire family I was visiting my grandmother every single week. My mom, my aunts, everyone thought I was the good grandchild, the reliable one. The truth is, I saw her 4 times in those 2 years. She died thinking I'd abandoned her, and everyone at her funeral thanked me for being so devoted. My grandmother Eleanor practically raised me. My parents both worked full-time, so from age 5 to about 12, it was her house after school every single day. She taught me to cook, taught me to garden, sat with me through every bad grade and every heartbreak before I even knew what heartbreak was. She was honestly the safest person in my childhood. When I was 26, she moved into an assisted living facility about 40 minutes from me. Her mind was still sharp. Her body just couldn't keep up with the house anymore. My mom and my aunts split up the visiting schedule. Everyone had a day. Mine was supposed to be every Sunday. The first few months I actually went. Every Sunday, like clockwork. Then, work got heavier. I'd just gotten promoted. The kind of promotion where you suddenly owned 6 people's deadlines instead of just your own. Sundays became the only day I had to breathe, to catch up on sleep, to see my own friends. So I started skipping. Just once, then twice. And here's the part I'm most ashamed of. Instead of telling my mom I'd missed a visit, I just didn't correct her when she assumed I'd gone. She'd say, "How was Grandma this week?" And I'd say, "Good." She seemed tired, but good, based on nothing. Based on what she'd probably seemed like, generically, because I knew her well enough to guess. It worked. Nobody questioned it. And once I realized nobody was checking, the lie just kept going, because stopping it would have meant admitting I'd been lying for months already. Over 2 years, I went from visiting weekly to visiting maybe once every 4 or 5 months. But in every family conversation, every group text, every Thanksgiving, I was still the one who visits every Sunday. My aunts started saying things like, "We don't know what we'd do without you handling Grandma's visits so well." My mom told other relatives I was so good to her. I let all of it happen. Every compliment made it harder to admit the truth. Because now I wasn't just lying about visits, I was accepting credit for a kind of love I hadn't actually been showing up with. Meanwhile, my grandmother was in that facility, in a room she didn't fully choose, watching a calendar where her grandson's name was supposed to show up every week and mostly didn't. I got the call on a Tuesday night. She'd had a stroke. Not immediately fatal, but bad. She lost most of the movement on her left side and a lot of her speech. I drove there that night, the first unscheduled, unplanned visit I'd made in over a year, and when I walked in, one of the nurses said, "Oh, you're the grandson who visits every week. She talks about you all the time." I stood in that hallway and felt something crack open in my chest, because that nurse meant it as a compliment, and I knew exactly how untrue it was. She lived about 6 more weeks after the stroke. I visited almost every day during that stretch, the only real, honest effort I'd made toward her in 2 years, and it came only after it was almost too late to matter. One afternoon, when her speech was mostly gone, she managed to get out a few slurred words. She said something that I've replayed more than anything else in my life. She said, "You came back. Not you always come. Not thank you for everything you came back," like she'd noticed I'd been gone, like she'd been waiting, like she knew. I told her I was sorry. I don't know how much she understood in that moment, or if she understood at all. I never got a clearer chance to say it than that. At her funeral, 3 different relatives thanked me for being so devoted to her. My mom cried and told everyone I was the grandchild she was closest to right up until the end. I stood there and said thank you, because what else was I supposed to say that I'd let a 2-year lie become the story of how much I loved her? Nobody in my family knows the truth. As far as they're concerned, I was the good one. I still don't know if I'll ever correct that, or if correcting it now would just be for my own guilt, not for anyone else's benefit. What I can't get past isn't that I missed visits people get busy. That happens. It's that I let everyone believe I hadn't, and I let my grandmother spend 2 years wondering why the boy she raised had quietly disappeared, while I was out there collecting compliments for a devotion I wasn't actually showing up with. She forgave me with 3 slurred words in a hospital bed. I still haven't forgiven myself.